Hello class, in this brief video I'm going to talk to you about how to go about coming up with a topic for this research paper. How do you write a research paper on literature? Well, keep in mind that the topic of this research paper is you are going to be proving how a certain piece of literature matters to the world today. Somehow it is culturally relevant, and it's up to you to figure that out. But from this point forward, you are a scholar, you are a researcher, and what you are doing in writing this research is contributing to the conversation. If you can imagine that literature scholars all over the world are engaged in a giant book club conversation about literature, and there's a subset of them that are going to be talking about The Raven. Maybe that's what you want to write about. Or maybe there's another subset of them talking about To Build a Fire, right? So the first thing that you do is look out there to see what the chatter is all about. What are these scholars already talking about? Before you can actually pick your actual topic or the direction you want to go in, you need to see what's already being discussed. And the best way to do that, in my opinion, is using Google Scholar, okay? The best way to use Google Scholar is to make sure that you are logged into My EFSC and then click on Library Resources, which logs you into the library. Then within Google Scholar, you go up to the three lines, you go to Settings, Library Links, and make sure that Eastern Florida State College is checked. If it's not, you can type it in, Eastern Florida State College, and then click search, and it'll bring up these boxes and you can check them. Then you hit save, and then you're ready to actually do your search. So the best way to do your search is to just start with the title of the work, Hills Like White Elephants is what I'm going to do, and the author's name, Hemingway, and see what actually comes up. And you'll see if there's something on the right hand side, that means that you have access, or you should have access to that text. What you're trying to do is make a list for yourself of the work that's already out there, and the way you and of conversations that you are interested in joining, right? So if your interest in Hills Like White Elephants is in exploring the ambiguous ending, does she get the abortion or does she not get the abortion, then you're going to want to find out what other scholars are saying about that particular topic, right? And I've done this search earlier, and as I did, all I did was I collected these works cited entries for these articles. And what you want to do is to find 5 or 6 articles that you can read thoroughly in order to see what the fuss is about. What are they talking about? What are the issues? What are the disagreements, perhaps, between scholars on your specific piece of literature? That might be where you find your specific topic. But the very first step is to enter that conversation. And in order to enter that conversation, you have to listen. And what I mean by listen is read. Notice that I haven't taken any notes. I don't have any quotes. I've just started with a list of what is out there. The other thing that you may want to do is add a little bit more to the title and the author. Let's say that you are interested in women's rights and how that applies to Hills Like White Elephants, because you believe that it applies today and that it's culturally relevant and important today, that Hills Like White Elephants is an important piece of literature because it highlights women's rights, or whatever you want your argument to be. Then you see what else is out there on that particular topic. If someone else has written something that is exactly like you're thinking, guess what? You need to find a new topic. Okay, you have to find a new angle. And but the first step in finding any angle at all is seeing what the writers are actually writing about. Once you read them, then you look for what are the disagreements between the scholars. Who is disagreeing with this? Who agrees with this? Is there something they're not talking about that I think is important, or that I think is relevant, or something I've noticed that I don't see any of these other authors have, of these other scholars have mentioned? And the reason I say this is because your words matter too. Your words and your observations and your interpretations are just as valid as those of the people who wrote these articles. You're going to be writing your own article in the form of a research paper. So that's it. That's what you do. In order to come up with a topic, you first have to come up with a list of articles that you are willing to read and explore further to find out more about the conversation that is ongoing about the literature that you've picked.